What is going on, guys? Welcome to the garage, my man cave. Today we're going to be changing the oil on Aldredge. You guys ask pretty often for me to do maintenance videos of my bikes and stuff. I don't really like to do them because I feel like you can only change the oil or do the air filter every so often. The videos are pretty repetitive, pretty boring, but I don't think I've shown an oil change on Aldredge yet. It's due for an oil change, so I figured I'd bring you guys along for the ride and change the oil. Real exciting stuff. Gonna need you to get that fan belt checked. So let's move on down here, check out the tools we're gonna be using today. First off, we just have our drain pan, so we can get the oil in here and then we'll dispose of it properly, safely, and correctly. I just got this tool, which I haven't used yet. I'm pretty excited for. So it's a socket, a 3/8 socket, and then it goes to a 10mm hex head, Allen wrench head, whatever you call it. So we don't have to use a T-handle Allen wrench. Just ordered that, pretty excited about it. So it's gonna hook right onto our 3/8 ratchet, boom, just like that. And then we have an extension just in case we need it. 10mm T-handle, which will be used to take off the skid plate. And I didn't wash the bike. I didn't even think about it. I came out here and I was like, oh, it's still dirty, but I wanted to do the video anyway. Then we have a Tusk oil filter for the bike. What I suggest doing if you make an order from like Rocky Mountain ATV MC or your local bike parts store, if you need anything else, just throw a few of these in your cart, especially if you're spending over like $85 or whatever it is online, or if these take you to $85, because you don't want to buy one of these for $5 and have to pay shipping. So just throw a few of them in your cart. I usually throw 3 or 4 at a time so that I have them. And then we have the O-ring for the oil filter, so we'll check the O-ring, but the worst thing we could do is if the O-ring's torn, not have a new one. So I get a handful of these when I go to the bike shop as well. Finally, we have just a funnel, and then of course we have our oil. I run Frontier oil. Look at that, it even says DeeO on it. Now that is factory, but really like this oil. 10W40 semi-synthetic, I think it is, or not synthetic, whatever. I probably just ruined that, but yeah, it works really well. I like the company, they helped me out. So we're gonna move over and check out the owner's manual. So we can check this out because a lot of this stuff that people ask about is kind of general information that's in your handbook. So servicing your Honda, we're gonna look at the engine oil, which is 48. I already marked it off just so this would be easier on us. So here you get all the information, 10W30, 10W40, so this oil is good to use, and just all the stuff we're gonna do. So if you ever have a question about, how often should I change my oil or anything like that, I suggest not going to a YouTube video, but rather checking your owner's manual. That's gonna be your best bet. So let's go ahead and get to work on the bike. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do here is start the bike and let it run for a little bit. We don't want it to get too hot, but we want the oil to move through the engine to collect the debris and also thin out the oil a little bit so it'll run out smoother. It's a super hot day regardless, so I think it'd be fine, but we still want to run the engine for just a little bit. All right, so we let it run for a little bit. Now I'm gonna put the bike on the triangle stand because of course if we put it on our normal stand, we won't be able to get underneath the bike to get the oil. So we have our triangle stand and we'll just put it in there real quick. So we're gonna take off the 10s. Now be very careful since we just ran the bike. The header is very, very hot. Very, very easy to catch yourself on that. So there we go, that was a little tighter than I thought. But 1, and 2, and 3 right here. Now this is where I wish I had washed the bike because I'm getting covered with dirt. Not covered, but got some dirt coming down. But get this last one here. And a subscriber a while ago had mentioned this, getting a little magnetic tray to hold the bolts. Great idea. So I throw the bolts in there. And now the skid plate pops right off, nice and dirty, and we can get to the drain bolt. All right, we're gonna pull our drain pan over. Get in here with that tool I was telling you guys about. And there we go, popped it loose. Now I'm just gonna pop this off, turn it by hand. And on these Hondas, it's a really big drain hole, whatever. The oil comes out pretty erratic, pretty fast. There we go. Obviously that was completely garbage because I was too busy talking to you guys, but that'll all wash off. So that was a poor example, but I know they do make a tool that you can put up there, lean the bike on its side, makes it a little bit easier, but that's why I got red rags, right? All right, cleaning off the hands a little bit after that incident. We're gonna go ahead and actually hold our kill switch here and kick the bike through a few times, as stated in the owner's manual. Helps cycle out all of the oil, which I know you guys can't see it right now, but got a little bit more out. And of course, there's no oil in the bike. We don't want it to start. That's why we're holding the kill switch. All right, so that should have cycled the rest of it out. And now we're gonna tilt the bike both sides just to make sure we get all the oil out of the cases. All right, we're going to the right. Trying to be mindful of catching the oil in our drip pan, but of course, even if not, we're on this rug, so we're not putting it straight on the concrete. And then pull it back to the left as best we can. You can see a little bit more draining out there. Maybe you can't see it, but a little bit more is draining out. Just trying to get as much as we can out of the engine. All right, we got some brake and parts cleaner here, so we're just going to spray off the drain bolt. And we're gonna make sure this stops cleaning. We're gonna clean off, where it stops draining. We're gonna clean off the bottom of the cases, the engine there, and put the drain bolt back in so we don't forget it and pour new oil in and lose it all. All right, we're gonna take a dab of the oil in our drain pan and we're gonna put it back on the O-ring from our drain bolt so we don't seize it up in there and not be able to get it back out, because that, my friends, would be an issue. Gotta get this on here because I didn't line that up perfect. There we go. Of course, if you have a torque wrench or something, you could do this completely right. We're just gonna do it by feel. There you go, that'll be good. So we got the drain bolt back in there. Now we need to take the oil filter out and drain that part as well. All right guys, I made a mistake, I apologize, but you also need an 8mm, at least on this Honda, for the oil filter. So my apologies, I didn't mention that earlier, but whatever, we're on it now. So we're gonna loosen this back and forth just to be safe. I had problems with my Cowie that if you did one side too much, especially while tightening it, you could break this cover. But yeah, so we're being careful. Make sure you have your drain pan underneath, because when you take this off, you're gonna have more oil coming out. So we got our drain pan right underneath it. We're going back and forth nice and easy, getting these loose. You can see oil starting to come out now. So we're definitely getting close. Gonna just go finger tight here. It's a little warm still from running the bike. I didn't even run it that long, so just be wary of that. Take these out. Again, I'm gonna put them in my awesome metallic tray. That doesn't help as I drop it and drop everything. There we go. So there's the rest of the oil. Our old filter, make sure you take note of which way this comes out. So you got the spring, the filter, and then your cap or cover or whatever. And the filter, the seal side is towards the cover. It would only go on one way, but still, just make note of that. So we're gonna set this down on our rag here, and then we'll clean out inside the filter area. So we got our brake spray cleaner again. Just gonna clean out in there, get the old oil out of there, and then we'll go ahead with another red rag, wipe it out. Of course, we can tilt the bike over, make sure we get as much oil out of there. There's not a ton in there, but just get it nice and clean in there. All right, so we're gonna take the little spring, our old filter, and then here we have the cover, so we'll spray that down. Make sure it's nice and clean, and while we're at it, what we're gonna do is inspect this O-ring. Like I was telling you, we have a new O-ring, just in case. You could replace it if you wanted to, but if this one is good, then we're gonna go ahead and run it. Take a look at it, see if there's any nicks or anything, but it actually looks like it's in good shape. And we'll test this when we're done. We're gonna start the bike up, and we wanna check here for oil leaks. We wanna make sure that nothing is coming out. We actually did that last time, my dad and I, and had to replace the O-ring. So just something to keep in mind, but we'll do a startup after we finish up just to check for any leaks. All right, we're opening up our new filter. So exciting stuff. And again, we have the seal that I was talking about. So that part's going to go towards the cap. Again, it wouldn't go on the other way, or at least it would go on strangely. You'd be able to tell. I believe in you guys, but still. So boom, 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 just like that. We're gonna take the old filter and just put it in the box. Obviously you don't need to do that, but it just makes for easy disposal. So it keeps whatever oils inside of that, if any, contained in the box. So we can just throw that all away. So now we're gonna move up here and we're gonna put this back in the bike. So come on up here, line it all up. Go on nice and smooth, give it a little bit of a wiggle. We don't wanna put too much pressure. Like I said, on the Cowie, this is where you could actually break the cap if you did one side too fast. So we're gonna put in the bolt here, might be the wrong one. There we go. And then got the other one. right here, and we're just gonna go finger tight for now. Make sure we keep even pressure on the cap so it holds everything in tight, so we're not doing one side too much at once. We're gonna go back and forth here, finger tight. All right, we're getting pretty close in now, so I'm gonna switch back to my T-handle, wipe my hand off real quick, and we're gonna keep doing the same thing. Now, I'm very paranoid with this because of my Cowie. I don't think the Honda's as bad, but I'm just gonna do quarter, maybe half a turn at once. Back and forth, nice and easy. I'd much rather take some extra time doing this than getting ahead of myself and breaking something. Now these, you don't have to crush down. You have a seal in there. You don't have a crush washer or something. So we don't need to absolutely torque these out as hard as we can. We just got to get them tight on there. So I'm not putting a lot of effort in. Just making sure that they're snug, more than snug, making sure they're tight, but I could definitely get more out of it. That's what we want. So it's nice like that. So now we have a fresh new oil filter. We have the drain plug back in. We're gonna go ahead and fill it up with oil. All right, so we got our funnel. We're gonna clear it out here. This is where we're gonna fill up the oil at. So, oh man, need some strength here. There you go. Of course, you can use pliers or something if it's a little too tight for you. But luckily we were able to get that off just with our hands. I love the Honda because it has an actual dipstick, kind of like a car, so you can check your oil level rather than your little peep sight thing. So that's super nice. We go ahead and put our funnel on there, and not yet. Let's open our oil. Again, using that Frontier 10W40. Crack a cold one with the boys. It's definitely not cold. Put the funnel there. If you're more of a man than me, you could try to just pour it straight in there. Wouldn't recommend it, but we're gonna pour it nice and slowly because sometimes it is possible that the funnel backs up and you don't want your oil going anywhere else. So again, consult with your owner's manual about how much oil you actually need to put in your bike, because it'll differentiate if you don't change your filter, which you may as well just change your filter if you're already doing it. But some bikes take different amounts. 1 quart isn't exactly what the Honda calls for, but CIP, close is perfect. It's good enough. Haven't had an issue with it yet. Knock on wood, fingers crossed. But so I just do 1 quart of this oil in there. So there we go. Make sure we're getting every last bit of golden goodness out of here. All right, guys, I want to take a quick break and show you this. Chest bump today. It's going to be a strong one. 91 degrees currently is what it's showing. Humidity at 13%. Feels like 91. And in my garage, it's probably 10 degrees hotter. What do you think, Allison? 10 degrees? 20 degrees hotter in here. It is warm, and for the quality of the video, I'm not running the fan for audio purposes. It's hot, but whatever. Let's get back to it. All right, so we just filled it up with oil, then my phone overheated, and just gonna cap that up now. So that was our oil change process. Before we go ahead and put the skid plate back on, we're gonna back the bike out and start it again. That way we can look a little bit closer to make sure we don't have any oil leaks like I mentioned earlier. So I'm gonna cap this up and back the bike out and start it up. All right, we're just checking to make sure we're not having any oil leak out of here. Everything looks good. We'll let it run for just a few seconds here, just to make sure. Sounds so good. Yeah, everything looks good, so it's gonna go ahead and kill the bike. And the reason I put it on the stand is actually because I'm gonna check the oil too. So if you wanna come in here closer to the dipstick, it says to run it for 3 to 5 minutes and then wait 3 minutes. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we're gonna loosen this back off again. Give it a quick wipe down just like you would a car. And then we're looking at just pretty much here. We want oil here. So again, this is in your service manual. Not gonna screw it in, just gonna put it in. And actually, I'm not seeing any on there right now. We might need to add some more oil to the bike. All right, so we left off. I was a little flabbergasted because I checked the oil and I've never had it low, but I just grabbed another container because luckily I have the hookup. I have quite a few quarts of oil, added a little bit more, but I kind of freaked out because I've never had that. Whatever though. So we're gonna go back. I added some oil. So remove the dipstick, wipe it down, stick it in here without screwing it on. And there you go. Now you can see the oil. Hopefully you could see that. Just you want it between the bottom here and the end of what looks like threads, pretty much. So Hopefully you can get a good view of that, but oil is within spec. So we are good on that. Go ahead and tighten it back up. Do another check and wiping stuff down as we go. Even though the bike's dirty, still wiping it down. No oil seems to be leaking, so we're good on that. We're gonna move it back into the garage and put the skid plate back on. All right, we're just putting the skid plate back on. One thing with these Hondas, we want to put a little bit of grease on this back bolt here that holds in the skid plate, because it has a tendency to seize up and then be a pain in the butt. A little bit of grease helps keep it honest on there, so we'll start with that one. I know you guys can't see that, but that's all right. Just putting a bolt in, nothing too awfully exciting down here. All right, got that one in nice and tight. Just putting these 10mm bolts back on to hold on the skid plate. Nice and simple, just the 2 on the front sides and the 1 on the bottom, which you already saw me putting in. So just put this on nice and tight. Don't want these coming off, but I never put Loctite on these. I suppose you could, but I've never had an issue with them. Now that I say that, probably will, but we're gonna bro for it. So there we go. Already made sure no oil was leaking. We already checked our oil level, changed the filter, got those on. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't need to put the O-ring on. I think everything's good. So all that's left now is we got to do a wheelie in the parking lot. We're irresponsible enough to do a wheelie in the parking lot, but we are responsible enough to wear a helmet while we do it. All right, guys, so that's how you change the oil on your 2017 Honda CRF450R. I'm sure that's the same on the 2018. And again, if you have any questions about doing it, refer to your owner's manual. You should have gotten one of these when you first bought your bike. Maybe order one on eBay or something, but it just has all this information. Everything I just told you how to do, you could have read in 45 seconds in here, but that's gonna do it. Let me know if you guys liked this. The bike now has 18.9 hours on it, which we're actually gonna mark. I put down all my oil changes and air filter changes. And yet again, one thing that's always a big controversy is how much time between your oil changes. Some people say 5 hours. I think the book says like 10 to 15. I usually try and do about 8. I don't even know what I'm at right now, but we're actually at 8.9. So get it taken care of. We'll write that down in our book, and that's that. That was fun. Allison helped me a ton on that, so make sure you guys say thank you. She was my camera operator, my grip this whole time. Really helped out this video. But till next time, guys, as always, take it easy. If it's easy, take it twice. We'll talk to you later. I swear I didn't mean for this whole video to be a Frontier ad. They do help me. I am one of their supported riders. But I came in to wash my hands and I just grabbed the Frontier hand soap, and I thought that was kind of funny, worth including, because since I already had the Frontier oil and the grease, whatever, I figured I'd throw this into you. So that's how you know it's a job well done at the end of the day. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right, going. Sorry.